You know, America has its fair share of mysteries. But this is the oldest and maybe the most chilling, unsolved case of them all. It's a story that starts with so much hope, but ends with this strange, unsettling silence that has lasted for more than 400 years. So let's dive right into the cold case of the lost colony of Roanoke.
So picture this. It's 1587. England is desperate to get a piece of the New World, and they send this group, led by a guy named Governor John White. But this wasn't just a military fort. This was supposed to be a real community. We're talking 115 men, women, and even children, all hoping to build a brand new life.
But when the governor came back just 3 years later, there was nothing. Nobody. The whole place was just empty. It was like they had vanished into thin air. See, Governor White had to sail back to England for supplies right after they settled in, but his trip back got seriously delayed. A massive war broke out between England and Spain, and he was stuck for 3 long years. When he finally got back to Roanoke in 1590, he was expecting a happy reunion. Instead, what he found was his worst nightmare.
But here's where it gets really weird. This wasn't a crime scene you'd expect. There were no signs of a fight, no bodies, no houses burned to the ground. Instead, the entire settlement had been carefully taken apart. It wasn't destroyed, it was dismantled. It was as if they had just packed up and walked away.
In John White's own words, there was only one clue left, a single word carved into a wooden post, Croatoan. And this is crucial. He pointed out that there was no cross carved alongside it. A cross was their prearranged secret signal for danger or distress. So this wasn't a warning, it was a message. But what on earth did it mean?
You can imagine, right? For centuries, that one single word has kicked off a firestorm of theories and wild speculation. So, what really happened to the people of Roanoke? Let's break down the biggest theories in this historical cold case. The first and most obvious theory you have to consider is foul play. I mean, did they meet some horrible, violent end out there in the wilderness? And they definitely had enemies. The English group that came before them had really messed things up, murdering a local chief. In fact, a small garrison of soldiers left on the island had already been wiped out by native warriors. And then there was Spain. The Spanish saw this tiny English colony as a huge threat, a potential pirate base right in their backyard. But here's the one giant question that makes the attack theory fall apart. If there was a massacre, by anyone, where are the bodies? An attack like that would leave evidence. Blood, skeletons, broken weapons. But the Roanoke site was clean, spookily clean.
Now, when you have a complete lack of evidence like this, people's imaginations tend to run wild. And boy did they ever. Over the years, people have blamed it on everything from alien abduction to a zombie virus. I mean, these are fun ideas for movies, but they mostly just show how deeply this mystery has captured our imagination. Okay, so let's put the zombies aside for a second and get back to the only solid piece of evidence we actually have, that one word, Croatoan.
And it turns out the answer was hiding in plain sight this whole time. This is a map of the area, drawn by Governor John White himself before he left. And on this very map is the key to the entire mystery.
I love this quote from archaeologist Scott Dawson because he just nails it. He says people love to talk about this cryptic message because, hey, mystery sells. But Croatoan wasn't cryptic at all. It was a place. It was the name of a nearby island, what we call Hatteras Island today. And it was home to a Native American tribe that was friendly to the English. They weren't leaving a riddle, they were leaving a forwarding address. So if we're pretty sure where they went, the next big question is why? Why would they just pack up and leave their entire town? And for that, we're going to turn to modern science, which has given us some absolutely amazing breakthroughs in this 400-year-old case. So this is super cool. Scientists studied the rings of ancient trees in the area, which lets them basically read the climate history from hundreds of years ago. And what they found gives the colonists a very, very good reason to leave. It turns out the Roanoke colonists had the worst luck in the world. They landed right at the beginning of the most extreme drought the area had seen in 800 years. The 3 years they were alone were the driest of the entire drought. Their crops would have completely failed. They were facing starvation. And this is where archaeologists found the smoking gun. On Hatteras Island, the place we know as Croatoan, they found buckets of something called hammer scale. It's a type of metal flake that is only produced by an English-style blacksmith forge. It's definitive proof that an English smith was living and working there inside a Native American village for a long time.
Okay, so let's put all the pieces of this puzzle together. We have the message pointing to a specific place, we have a life-or-death motive to move, and we have the physical evidence that they were there. A much clearer picture is starting to take shape.
The theory that makes the most sense is assimilation. They weren't lost or massacred. They were facing a disaster. So they made a logical choice for survival. They packed up their settlement, left a clear message for John White, and moved inland to live with the Croatoan people, who could help them survive.
And the evidence just keeps piling up over the centuries. Decades later, colonists at Jamestown heard stories about people who looked European living among the inland tribes. Over 100 years later, an explorer visited Hatteras Island and wrote that many of the people there claimed to have white ancestors, and some even had gray eyes. And today, modern DNA analysis is starting to find genetic links between people from that area and the original colonists.
So maybe the most amazing part of this story is that the lost colony was never actually lost. They survived, they adapted, they just stopped being English colonists and became something new. Their story isn't about vanishing, it's about resilience.
And yet, the human side of the mystery is still there. We might know what happened to the group, but we'll never know the personal stories, the fears and the hopes of those 115 individuals, including Virginia Dare, the very first English child born in the Americas. All of that is lost to time.
So I want to leave you with this question. What do you think is a more haunting fate? To meet a sudden, violent end, or to slowly fade away, to have your culture, your identity, and your story completely absorbed and erased by time? Let me know what you think in the comments.